Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Gus and Dave Sports Podcast. I'm Dave. That's Gus. This is episode 4. Whole month of doing this. Gus, it's a pleasure to see you as always. But
Hell
dude,
yeah, Dave. Nice to see
dive,
you too, man.
let's dive right into this, dude. We just had a weekend Super Bowl, man. NFL is over, so we got a lot to talk about today. Stay
Oh
tuned,
yeah.
guys.
So we had a pretty eventful weekend this week with obviously the Super Bowl and all of the antics that come with the Super Bowl. Obviously, the final score of the game, Seahawks Patriots, was 29-13. Pretty, boring game in my opinion, at least for the first half. I know in the second half it started to heat up. There was a few touchdowns mixed in the second half. A defensive touchdown coming from the Seahawks. A long touchdown to Mac Hollins from Drake May that really started to kind of heat things up. But in the end, obviously, the score kind of doesn't really tell the game, in my opinion. I feel like the Seahawks were dominant, all game long. I think going into halftime, the score was 9-0, 12 to
Yeah.
0, something like that, off of straight field goals. Shout out Jason Myers. He had a hell of a day out there. Pretty sure he went 5 for 5 on field goals and obviously the 2 extra points that he had kicked. But pretty boring game, through and through. I know that Sam Darnold, he had a pretty mid game as well. But the star of the show, Kenneth Walker, going for around 150 all purpose yards in the game and ultimately winning the Super Bowl MVP. Drake May didn't really have that good of a game as well. 3 turnovers. He had 2 interceptions with a costly fumble late in the game that ended up leading to a touchdown. He threw for about 300 yards, which doesn't look too bad on the stat sheet, but the little mistakes that he had throughout the game, especially in the second half. I know he threw the ball over the middle of the field that was, blatantly just up for grabs, and Seattle ended up picking it off and taking it back, into the Patriots half of the field. But Dave, what do you think about the game?
No, yeah, I agree. I that was a boring game in the first half. I unfortunately I was working during this at my pizza shop, but I kept on checking the score, and nothing was happening. So I was like, "Oh,
No,
it's a good day to work." Pizza business
definitely.
is busy on Super Bowl, but no, we 9-0 at halftime. That game was terrible in the first half. Like you said, it did start picking up after a few touchdowns here and there. Kenneth Walker had himself a day. Shout him out.
Definitely.
I saw that that was actually his dad's first ever game or NFL game that he watched of Kenneth Walker, and he like convinced him to come, decided to come, and he won Super Bowl MVP. I feel like that's a story you can't make up. That's pretty
Wow.
cool. But no, dude, that like you said on stats on the paper, Drake May didn't look too bad. 295, 2 touchdowns, but that's those turnovers, man. He wasn't built for it. Second year quarterback was not built for the Super Bowl. Shout out Sammy
Definitely.
Darnold, though,
I was
man.
gonna.
That
I
guy,
was just gonna say, shout out Sam Darnold. I believe it's his fifth team. He's been on the last. I think it's about 7 or 8 years that he's been in the league.
yeah,
Coming from the Jets, he was the third overall pick. A lot of pressure on him into a not so great situation with the Jets, and he's bounced around from teams. I believe he was with San Francisco, Carolina as backup quarterbacks. Then obviously last year, winning 14 games with the Vikings, but eventually getting booted in the first round. They didn't
yeah.
want to give him any money, and now look at him winning. The winning Super Bowl quarterback of 2025, and yeah, Seattle with a great year this year. And but next year, looking forward to next year, I know that Seattle has a few holes to fill because of how many free agents that will be on the market this year. And they can't pay everybody, so they're
Yeah.
most likely going to lose some players on both sides of the football. I know that Kenneth Walker, the Super Bowl MVP, he is a free agent this year. So if he doesn't get a bag from the Seahawks, he's definitely going to get a bag from another team in the league that needs a running back. A few teams that kind of come to mind. Obviously, Seattle would love him back if they want to give him the money, but I know that off the top of my head, they haven't paid, Jackson Smith-Njigba, who's one of the best wide receivers in the league. He hasn't gotten his payday yet. And then a few of the defensive backs like Devon Witherspoon, who was also in that same draft with Jackson Smith-Njigba. He hasn't gotten paid yet, and he's one of the premier corners in this league. So they have a few guys to pay on both sides of the ball. I'm not sure they're going to pay Kenneth Walker. I hope he gets his bag regardless. I know that they've been using Zach Charbonnet a lot recently, so
Yeah.
they might just move him up for salary purposes and money purposes. But that's going to be exciting to watch this upcoming offseason is where a lot of these guys go that were at the top of their careers winning the Super Bowl and now might get shipped off somewhere else because teams just eventually don't want to pay, a position like a running back. And
Yeah,
especially, Kenneth Walker being a fourth or fifth year guy already, running backs are recycled in the league, which is it's bad to see, but he's going to get his payday regardless for sure.
definitely. And I actually have a quick take that I don't think Kenneth Walker deserved the MVP in that game. I wanted to bring
Okay.
this up really quick. I
Okay.
mean, he had himself a day. Shout him out. I'm not taking that away from him, but my MVP goes to that kicker, man.
Oh
Special
yeah.
teams guy, Jason Myers, 5 for 5, like you mentioned, a 33, a 39, 241s, and a 26. So they're all relatively. I feel like those are all you should definitely always make those. But I mean, field goals aren't given in this league. You know, we've seen countless misses. The one that comes to mind is Tyler Loop from the Ravens missing that field goal last game of the regular season against the Steelers and not make playoffs. But yeah, now he went 2 for 2 on extra points. And then what stood out to me, he had a tackle. So it was probably off a kickoff. But I mean, hey, that could have saved the touchdown right then and there.
Definitely.
Who knows? And then a quick little set. He was perfect in all of playoffs. He made every single field goal, every single extra point, which I feel like nowadays you don't see too much. I feel like you always see a kicker miss, maybe doink an extra point or miss, get a field goal blocked or whatever. But
Yeah.
he's my MVP of this game. He had all the points up until was it the first touchdown in the fourth quarter or end of the third? Can't
I
remember.
believe it was at the end of the third. AJ Barner had a 15 or 16-yard touchdown in the back of the end zone. But
Yeah,
I kind of agree with that take, and also, you know, not based off any kind of stat, but the punter for the Seahawks, when they would go three and out, they pinned the Patriots, excuse me, back, almost every time. I didn't see a
yeah,
bad punt come from the Seahawks or the Patriots, honestly. Both these punters in this game, you don't love to talk about special teams because you're not there to watch special teams, but
yeah.
both punters in this game were pretty consistent throughout the entire game and seem to set up their defenses pretty well at the end of their drives.
I'm sure all the special team coordinators around the league were licking their chops watching this game, just
Oh yeah,
nitpicking everything or just loving what they saw because
definitely,
they don't get much love, but they had all the spotlights on them during the biggest game of the year.
definitely, definitely. But looking forward to next season, I believe that there is 213 days to week one of the 26th season. So,
You got the
I mean,
counter already?
I'm already counting down the days, man. I'm excited for this next season, especially for both of our teams. I mean, surprising that we're both excited for next season because of how stinky our teams have been
Yeah,
last year and probably coming up next year. But looking forward to next season. But we'll keep you guys updated on off-season moves, on the draft eventually in about 2 or 3 months from now. And when things start to heat up, like I said, in the offseason with all these moves and trades that are definitely bound to happen because I believe the free agent market this year is pretty stacked. So we'll
yeah.
definitely keep you guys updated. But let's hop into our NBA segment.
All right.
Let's hop right into this NBA segment of our show. Obviously, this weekend is the All-Star break, All-Star weekend. You have the dunk contest, the three-point contest, I believe the skills challenge, the celebrity All-Star game, and then obviously our All-Star game. In the past, it's been very entertaining to watch. I knew growing up that the dunk contest is one of my favorite things to watch. I don't know about you, Dave, but
Yeah.
watching Blake Griffin dunk over cars and a bunch of others that I can't name off the top of my head as of right now. But
Aaron
uh,
Gordon was robbed in 2016
oh
against
yeah,
Zach
the Aaron
LaVine.
Gordon, Zach Levine, back to back, like
That was
head
like
to
a
head.
3-year run that they all had. That was super entertaining to watch.
Yeah, that was nuts too. But I like how Mac McClung has kind of brought that fire back, but he will not be in the dunk contest this year. I think he's won like three out of the last four. So
Yeah, I
I
think
think
he's
he's
won
decided
3 in a row.
to three in a row. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well, shout out Mac McClung for that. Hell yeah. But like I said, the All Star break has kind of slowed down in popularity. I knew I won't be watching it too much. And I know that they've tried to kind of switch up the format of the All Star break, involving Team USA and Team World, and involving the Rising Stars team as well. Kind of trying to do what the NHL did last year with involving different countries and the Team USA, Team Canada, all of that, fancy, not fancy, but like I don't know the word for it, but that kind of bracket, raised a lot of, popularity and views because of, Team Canada and Team USA obviously is very fiery. And the first thing I think of is Team Canada and Team USA dropping gloves at the middle of the ice, before the game even started. And the
That was
NBA is
all.
trying to kind of I mean, that was
I,
super
I
cool.
I don't watch hockey, and I remember watching that with you in the living room of our apartment in college, and that
Yeah,
yeah, I was there for it.
that was
Doing the
that
national
was
anthem
really
in our
cool to
own living
watch.
room.
Yeah. But, them trying to copy that kind of thing, I get it, trying to bring more viewership in, but I just don't think it's going to work this year for the NBA because they don't have that fiery kind of mentality like hockey does. But, with the NBA All-Star weekend this weekend, we kind of wanted to share our thoughts on the kind of some early end of season rewards that are going to be coming up. So we're going to be discussing the MVP, Rookie of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, and Most Improved. So Dave, why don't you tell them about your MVP candidate
Yeah,
at this point in the season?
my MVP as of right now, and who I think is gonna take the cake is gonna be Luka Doncic of the Los
Okay,
Angeles Lakers.
okay,
He's averaging 32.8. It's called 33. 7.8 boards. It's called 8, and then 8.6 assists. Basically, 8 or 9, whatever you want to decide. But I mean, I think him and LeBron are going to step it up and try and make that push to get the Lakers as a higher seed. And that's only going to make his stats go up. He's going to keep at that pace. He's right now leading the league in points per game. The only question mark of where if he can do it is if he plays enough games. He just picked up a left hamstring strain and has been out the last 3 games. Thankfully, it's right around this All-Star break, so this does give him time to heal, rest up, not participate in the All-Star break games. And then obviously there's no regular season games going on, but as long as he keeps that pace up, I mean, he's almost averaging a triple double a game, which is pretty insane. Um, but yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Looking forward to see how he ends the season. Looking forward to see how the Lakers end the season. And as long as he plays that, I think we said the threshold was like 65 games, right?
65 games. Yeah.
As long as he plays that threshold, I think he takes the cake. I mean, Shea's a free throw line merchant, and just Jokic doesn't even care about basketball. So why should he win the MVP? That's
Well, hold on. I have a rebuttal for that as well.
okay.
My MVP candidate this year is going to be Nikola Jokic. He's putting up 29 points a game, 12 rebounds, and almost 11 assists per game while shooting almost 60% from the field. While the Nuggets being, a 3 or 4 seed, I know in the West, I think the, 3 through 7 seeds are about 1 or 2 games combined for, they always like interflop. And I think they're going to end up being, one of the higher seeds at the end of the year. Their team is very good, and with him off the floor, they are very bad. Um, Nikola Jokic obviously has won multiple MVPs in the past, and he hasn't slowed down. He's only gotten better year after year, putting up a triple double this season already, shooting very efficiently from the field. Like I said, as a top 3 or 4 seed in the West, it's very impressive. And like you had said before, that we don't. The last thing we want to see is Shy to win another MVP. Even though the Thunder are the best team in the league right now, record wise, Shea is still putting up around 30 to 31 points a game like he usually does. But you just hate to see if Shy wins another MVP because
Yeah.
we just hate to see it, man. We hate to see it. But my rookie of the year, let's switch to rookie of the year.
Yeah.
My rookie of the year is not going to be who everybody thinks it's going to be. My rookie of the year this year is going to be Khan Knippel from the Charlotte Hornets. Khan this year is putting up 19 points per game, 5.5 rebounds a game, 3.5 assists, shooting about 49% from the field, and shooting 43% from three. And I believe I saw this stat the other day that he's around 160 threes this year already. And the rookie record for threes in a year is around 210, set by Keegan Murray a few years ago. So, I mean, he's already on pace to absolutely destroy this record. He's on a pretty good Hornets team as of recently. I know they've been heating up, especially in a lackluster Eastern Conference where it's basically the top 3 or 4 seeds, and then everybody else is kind of mid. Um, I think that the Charlotte Hornets could definitely heat up, get into that 5 or 6 seed, lock themselves in the playoffs, not play in the play-in, and I think Con Knibble is going to be a huge part in that run for the playoffs for these Hornets.
Yeah, that's a good pick. I have to agree. I'm also not gonna pick that the world's favorite in Cooper Flag. I'm gonna go with my guy on my team, the 76ers. Let me go with VJ Edgecombe. Now this kid, he can hoop, man. He
Definitely.
I feel like every single time I turn the game on that he's balling out. And when he's playing good, I always feel like the Sixers are gonna win. Him and Maxey are such a great punch in that backcourt. But I mean his stats, he's averaging 15, 5, and 4, which obviously is not it's not like the highest numbers for the rookie. I believe Khan and Cooper are definitely averaging more. But I mean I love the kid. Dude, he Furiosity, man, he would dunk on anybody. He doesn't care if LeBron James. He doesn't care if
Definitely.
Pope Francis is under the rim. He's going to go and attack that rim and put that ball in that hoop. So I just love the way he plays. I think he's going to be a great player. I'm hoping he wins a Rookie of the Year. That's going to be my pick for Rookie of the Year because I love watching him play. But yeah, I mean he's exciting to watch. I like watching exciting basketball, and he brings that out.
Definitely. Definitely. So
Yep.
who would you say is your defensive player of the year? Because I think we have a very similar player for our defensive player of the
Yeah, I
years.
think I think the depot is very locked away. I think everybody's gonna say it. It's pretty obvious it's gonna be Wembenyama. Dude, this guy's just I mean, what can he do? He is literally an alien. This guy
Literally.
is disgusting. He's the best defender. He can even make a push for MVP if he keeps up his numbers and Spurs do good. He can make that push for MVP. But I think he's locked in depot. And Mr. Wembenyama, I'm sorry, dude. I said you were going to be a bust once you were drafted. I thought you
Oh,
weren't going to be good.
oh,
If you're listening, Mr. Wemby, I'm sorry, but no, shout him out, dude. He's locked away. He's the rookie or the depot.
definitely. I have the same pick. I also have Victor Wembanyama, putting up 2.7 blocks per game, and almost a steal a game is pretty insane in this NBA, where defense isn't really regarded as the main focus on most teams. I know that the NBA has shifted more towards an offensive perspective. Just putting up as much points on the board as you can, but you got guys like Victor Wembanyama that can still hold down the paint. Anybody within a 5 foot vicinity of Victor Wembanyama is getting blocked, and that's literally insane. You haven't really seen anything like this since Hakeem Olajuwon back in the 80s and 90s when he was putting up 3 or 4 blocks a game, and even like Wilt Chamberlain when they were playing plumbers and electricians back in the 50s and 60s, where he was putting up. I mean, blocks weren't considered a stat back then, but
Yeah,
I can't imagine the amount of blocks that he had back in the day. But with the Spurs, the 2 seed, I believe that they're the second or third best team in the NBA right now. Obviously, Victor Wembanyama is the best player on that team, offensively and defensively. So I think they're easily a playoff lock. If they can keep this up, they can maybe catch the Thunder. At the 1 seed, I know the Thunder. They've been on a slide for them.
yeah,
Is like losing 2 games in a month. So if they can keep up with the Thunder, maybe sneak that 1 seed. I think they're about 5 or 6 games behind the Thunder currently going into the All-Star break. But yeah, I think Victor Wembanyama has that on lock. There's not very much guards or forwards that have like the steals numbers that we've seen in the past as well. I think Cason Wallace leads the league in steals as of right now, but he's also another bench piece on that stacked Oklahoma City Thunder team that just gets 2 steals a game, and then he's back on the bench. But
yeah.
Wemby's out there all game. His defensive presence in the paint is known, and I bet if half the players drove to the basket on Wemby, he'd have double or even triple the amount of blocks that he has right now. So I think
For sure.
Wemby is a solidified lock for the defensive player of the year. But let's move
Definitely.
on to most improved. I know that there's a lot of different candidates this year. You have Keontae George of the Utah Jazz. You have Nikhil Alexander Walker of the Atlanta Hawks. Jalen Johnson just made his first All-Star team. He's having a great year this year too. Jalen Duren for the Detroit Pistons having a great year. But my most improved player this year is going to be Denny Advia from the Portland Trailblazers. He's a, I believe, small forward for the Portland Trailblazers. He went last year putting up 17 points per game, to this year, putting up 25.5 points per game. Last year, he had 4 assists. He was averaging 4 assists, and this year, just under 7 assists. Throughout the rest of his stat line has stayed pretty consistent. I believe he's averaging around the same amount of assists, shooting about the same percentages from the field, from three, from the free throw line. But he also has just made his first All-Star game this year as well in a stacked Western Conference. So, I mean, congrats to him. He's having a great year. He's definitely going to get a bag in about a year or two. I'm not sure what his contract looks like, but yeah, it's my most improved player this year, Denny Avdia.
Yeah, my guy is going to be, you mentioned him earlier, Nickeil Alexander-Walker. I mean, when you look at his stats from last year compared to this year, I mean, you would think it's a different player. This guy,
Definitely.
last season on the Timberwolves, he averaged 9 points, 3 boards, 3 assists. And this year for the Hawks, he's just averaging 20 points, 4 boards, 4 assists. I mean, this guy is a completely new ball player. He's balling out. Every single time I look at him, he's dropping like 6 threes a game. And he plays for an awful team. So it's not a team award, it's most improved. So I think he can
Definitely.
take the cake because when you look at most improved, this guy, I mean, you don't see 11-point change in a season very often.
No, definitely not.
That is a big change, and shout him out, dude. He's balling
For
for a
sure.
stinky team in the Hawks.
So that is our early predictions for the end of season NBA awards. I know that college basketball is also starting to heat up. We had this past weekend a bunch of ranked matchups. This past Monday night, the Kansas Jayhawks, number 9 ranked team in the country, just played the number 1 seed Arizona Wildcats, and Arizona went to Kansas and they played Kansas without the number 1 player in the country, Darren Peterson, and Kansas still ended up beating the Arizona Wildcats at home, which was a crazy game to watch. That game was very back and forth, and that was a great game to watch as well. I know on last Saturday, BYU played Houston. Houston went to BYU and beat them. Obviously, my team, North Carolina, played Duke at home, and UNC won on a buzzer beater 3
That was
to
awesome.
beat the number 4 seed Duke Blue Devils. And I believe there were a few more games on Saturday that I'm forgetting, but a bunch of
That
ranked matchups.
the buzzer beaters, it just jogged a memory. I'm not sure if you're watching tuning into Sun Belt basketball, but Coastal Carolina, I forget who we played, but that game went to triple overtime.
I believe it was UMass.
Was it? Yeah. Okay. So triple overtime with UMass hitting a 3 to tie the game in regular time.
Yep,
Coastal hitting a 3 to tie the game in first. I mean, back and forth. Eventually, our Coastal Carolina, Shauna Clears, took the cake in triple overtime with the winner. I mean, that's electric. You don't see triple overtime much, especially with 3 buzzer beaters coming back to back to back.
definitely,
That was super fun to watch the ending of. Maybe not this. I didn't watch any of the game, but I saw the clip. So
definitely. Me too. I didn't end
no,
up watching that game because there were a bunch of other ranked matchups on Saturday. But another great game that I probably should have tuned into, and hopefully Coastal can take that momentum into the Sun Belt bracket at the end or at the beginning of March or in the middle of March, and maybe win the Sun Belt. Hey, you never know. You never know
maybe
with this Coastal Carolina team.
become a Cinderella team. Can you imagine
Oh
that story?
man,
A
put us at
16.
a 16 seed, being a number 1. That would be something. That would
Oh,
be something.
the town of Conway would burn down. Let's just say
Oh
that.
yeah, for sure, for sure. But as the college basketball season comes into its prime, at the beginning of March, into late March, into April, where March Madness starts to heat up, we'll definitely fill you guys in, tell you about the games, tell you about who we think is going to win, who we think is, probably a flop in the bracket. But as that starts to heat up, we'll definitely start incorporating college basketball into our hoops news. But let's get into our second to last segment, unsafe takes.
All right. All right. Here is our unsafe takes segment. I'm gonna start us off, Gus. I got 2 today. My first one is the Seahawks will not be nearly as good as they were this year. I do not think
Okay.
they have a small chance of making that run that they did. Some of the things I got on is that this season they had 7 new starters on defense. 7 starters. So it's not even just like 7 rotational guys. They had 7 new starters coming in from free agency, the draft, from trades, all that kind of stuff. You mentioned it earlier in the podcast that they have a lot of players entering free agency. They got to pay these guys. If they want to keep them, they got to pay them. If not, they're going to walk. These players that are entering free agency are the top of the top. Where they're going to demand money because hey, I just want a Super Bowl. I'm a Super Bowl like player. I need my money.
Definitely.
Seahawks aren't going to go for that. John Snyder, he's a smart GM. He's going to figure out a way to not pay guys or pay the right guys. And then the last point on it is that Sam Darnold is I love the guy, but he's not going to have that kind of season again. Every single piece of the puzzle fell into place for him to where all the stars aligned, as they could say. He's not going to have that same season where he's balling out. He has the best protection, great receivers. Everything fell perfectly in front of him. Shout him out. He played great, but he's not going to do it again. Gus, what do you have to say about that? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree? What do you think?
I think that, and also a big part of what you were saying before, uh, their offensive coordinator, Clint Kubiak, is
Yeah,
also leaving
forgot to
for
mention
the
that. Yeah,
Raiders head coaching position. And we've kind of seen him with the Detroit Lions. At least I thought that the Detroit Lions were going to, keep it up and, win,
yeah,
12 plus games this year. But ultimately, I believe they ended about 9-8 after Ben Johnson leaves for Chicago. And Chicago goes on and wins about 11 games this year. And Detroit misses the playoffs entirely. So that could also be a big factor into your take as well. Clint Kubiak, you obviously saw this year. They had the leading receiving yard, leader in Jackson Smith and Jigba. Sam Darnold had a great year this year, but it depends on who they get as an offensive coordinator because obviously coaching matters in this league. It's a huge part in success. Clint Kubiak is a great offensive coordinator, and I hope he does well with the Raiders.
yeah.
Yeah, as the first overall pick, obviously he has some weapons on that offense. But yeah, I think that Seattle. I don't think they do as well as they did this year. I mean, 14 wins in a season is pretty insane for
Yeah.
a team, especially in that NFC West division where you have the 49ers who won, I think, 13 games this year. You have the Rams who also won 14 games this year. In that division, that is very impressive for what they had to do this year. But I still think they go out and have some success. That defense is pretty insane, especially if they can bring back some of those key guys in the offseason. But yeah, I think they don't have as good of a season, but I still think they kind of keep up that success in the next season. Definitely.
All right. Yeah, I'm going bold. I'm saying they're not going to make playoffs.
Oh
I don't
wow.
see it.
Okay.
We can circle back
Okay.
to this maybe in a year.
Okay. Okay.
But going off that, kind of staying in the Super Bowl realm, my second unsafe take is that Drake May will never see another Super Bowl game in his career unless he's a backup quarterback for some team where that happens to go. But Drake May leading the range,
Damn.
he's not making the Super Bowl. This guy, he had a cupcake schedule with the Patriots this season. I think 11 coaches that they played fired their head coach. You don't see that
Wow.
many head coach firings in the season unless your team's doing bad. 11 of them
No,
fired
yeah.
their head coach because they did that bad. He's
Wow.
not going to have that cupcake of a schedule again. And then, I mean, hey, history repeats itself. Dan Marino went to the Super Bowl his sophomore year in the league. He never went back. Drake May, he's not going to
That
be good.
hurts.
He's not going to be as good as Dan Marino, and he's definitely not going back to another Super Bowl. That's my unsafe take. What do you think about that one, Gus? I'm sorry to throw a shot at Dan Marino and your Dolphins, but
I know that one kind of hurt. That one kind of hurt. But I can agree with you. I don't want to obviously put out entirely that he's never going to be back in the Super Bowl ever again. But in that AFC where there's so many competitive quarterbacks in the conference already, you already have obviously one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, Patrick Mahomes, got hurt at the end of the season. The Chiefs didn't make the playoffs. That was very unfortunate. Josh Allen, also in that same conference. Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Bo Nix with the Broncos. He was out when they played them. You also have who else is in the AFC? I mean, there's plenty of other quarterbacks in the AFC that can definitely. Justin Herbert is also another quarterback in the AFC. You might see Fernando Mendoza go in the AFC West to the Raiders with the first overall pick. So the amount of young, great quarterbacks in the AFC that didn't make the playoffs this year was something you don't really see in a season too often. And I think this was one of the best chances that Drake May is going to get, getting to a Super Bowl, having that kind of schedule. Or, he did beat Justin Herbert in the first round, but the Chargers were banged up. He faced a great Texans defense, but as we saw, CJ Stroud turned the ball over way too much in that game. And then the AFC Championship, unfortunately, Bo Nix being out, and that game being a 10-7 game. You're not gonna win every playoff game putting up 10 points, and going to the Super Bowl after that. So I can agree with that take, but I don't want to, obviously put Drake May in a position where he's never going to reach a Super Bowl again. But it's definitely going to be a lot more tougher, especially if half those quarterbacks are healthy and make the playoffs next year for their teams. Definitely.
Yeah, well, I'll go on the record and say he's never making one again. That's
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So my unsafe take this week is going to be focused on the Olympics and the hockey aspect of the Olympics. Um, Obviously, you have Team USA, you have Team Canada, both, powerhouse hockey teams. You also have a lot of those smaller European countries where, Finland, Denmark, Germany, they're very competitive within, these kind of events as well. But there's one country that has been missing the past few years in these events, and it's Russia. And I think you cannot have a best on best country versus country tournament or event without having one of the largest countries in the world, having one of the largest exports of hockey players in the world, and it not be in an event like the Olympics is. And it's terrible to see that they can't, compete in events like this because of how great of a team that they would have. Just to list off a few players: Alexander Ovechkin, one of the greatest hockey players of all time; Kirill Kaprizov, one of the best upcoming wings in hockey; Andrei Vasilevsky, great goalie for the Tampa Bay Lightning; Sergei Bobrovsky, great goalie for the Florida Panthers. That's just to name a few, and they have plenty of other Russian athletes in the NHL that play on a daily basis that can definitely make a difference in an event like this. And I just don't think it's best on best without having Russia in an event like this because of how stacked that team would be. And I think they could definitely put up a fight with, the USA or Canada
For
in an
sure.
event like this because of, they bring so much physicality too. Those Russians are bred different over there. I don't know what they feed those guys over there in Moscow and St. Petersburg, but it's definitely something different. But the physicality that they bring, obviously the talent that they have playing hockey for, I mean, they live in, Siberia where it's cold all year round. They can go, skate on a lake all year round where we have hockey all year round. But yeah, that's my unsafe take is Russia not being in the Olympics and even last year in like the NHL's All-Star game was not best on best, and it's not going to be best on best this year in the Olympics as well.
Not, I'm definitely not a avid hockey follower, but I can get behind that. You explained it very well. Where I mean, just off the top of my head, when you say hockey, obviously Russia comes to mind. It's just one of those countries that have a lot of the great players. So, like you saying, not best on best without Russia being in, I can agree with that, and I think that's a
Definitely,
great unsafe take.
definitely. So we are going to be hopping into our final segment of the podcast, and we'll be giving our good dudes and bad dudes of the week.
All right, guys, welcome to our last segment of this episode 4 of the Gus and Dave Sports Podcast. Good guy, bad guy of the week. This week, my good guy is going to be good guys, as we have two families that have made a donation, a contribution to Coastal Carolina athletics. Mr.
Let's go.
Chuck and Jackie Tenney and Mr. Patrick and Susan Sparks. Both those families donated $1 million to Coastal Carolina athletics. And I know
Let's go.
you bigger schools are saying $1 million. That's nothing, man. We're G5, man. This $1 million, this goes a long way. So
That means a
these
lot.
donations, they go a long way. This is going to help. I mean, I don't know what it's going to go. That's a lot of money. It can go to anything, really. This is going to help
Anything.
build our program across the board. I mean, our baseball team just went to the World Series. Football team's football team's looking good. I've been seeing a
Oh
lot
yeah.
of promising guys commit to us. I'm excited for this new head coach, Coach Beard. I keep on seeing videos on all the sports: softball, baseball, basketball, women's and men's, volleyball. I mean, our sports programs, they're trending in the right direction. I'm looking forward to watching all of them coming up, especially these spring sports. And then football. I think football is doing a spring game, so I think we're gonna have to tune in for that, watch that one, see how those fellas look out there. But those two families, the Tennies and the Sparks, those are my good guys of the week, making that $1 million donation to Coastal Carolina Athletics, and it's going to go a long way. So I'm looking forward to it. Gus, who's
Shout
your good
out
guy
those
that you got?
families. Let's go. That's
Yeah,
huge for our programs. That's awesome.
great.
But my good dude of the week this week is going to be the guard who hit the game-winning three against Duke on Saturday night in the Dean Smith Center, Seth Trimble. And I believe he is a third or fourth year. He's been on the roster, like I said, for about 3 or 4 years. And in the past, especially last year, Duke having this loaded roster of Con Knipple, Cooper Flag, Malawach, just to name a few, were all 4 or 5 stars going to Duke. And I don't think we beat them one time last year. I believe they beat us both times. The year before, I know they also probably had a stacked year, or stacked roster, I should say. But so Seth Trimble hasn't really, feeling the success against Duke that, UNC, that's what, we look forward to every year, the 2 games against Duke. And, Seth Trimble hasn't had much success against them. So him being there, him being the vet, hitting the three to win the game in the Dean Center, that was just awesome to watch. Being a UNC fan, that was sick. And especially this year's Duke team is very good, and maybe even as good as the team last year. Cam Boozer, he is leading the league in points per game this year. He's either the first or second guy in college basketball in points per game this year. So, beating this team is huge for us, especially, this late in the year where seeding matters. As we look forward to the ACC championship bracket, even March Madness, they're going to look at this win and definitely give us credit for it. So shout out to Trimble. Great win this weekend. And let's keep it going. Let's keep it going. But my bad dude of the week, going off of my good dude of the week, is going to be one of the kids or whoever it was that hit one of the Duke coaching staff when we rushed the court, when we beat Duke this past weekend. That's just very unsportsmanlike. You hate to see something like that. I know John Shire, the Duke coach, was in the interview post game, and that's really all I could think about. He was saying to reporters that he was obviously answering their questions, but he had bigger concerns because one of his coaching staff had just gotten slapped or punched or whatever it was. You just shouldn't really lay hands on any of the players or coaching staff or really anybody in the arena. But that's just very unsportsmanlike of North Carolina, and you hate to see that, especially being a fan. But hopefully that coaching staff member is okay, and I hope they find the guy whoever hit him and give him his consequences for that as well.
Yeah, dude, I love it when fans rush a court in those basketball games, but it can lead to some unsafe scenarios, especially because how
Definitely,
small a basketball court is. There's not much room to go. If that
no,
many fans running onto a court, you're gonna get like trampled, and something bad almost always happens. You see.
definitely.
Yeah, but my bad guy of the week is you guys are just gonna think I'm a Patriots hater because I'm going Will Campbell is my bad guy this week.
Oh, okay.
This guy, he when he got drafted, he said, "I will die for this team." Well, you suck, dude. You're terrible. In the Super Bowl, he had 8 pass block losses. The rest of the team combined for 8. That
Wow.
like this guy is just terrible. You're not good. I I was in the gym and I'm looking up at the TV in between sets, and I just see him getting trampled, getting trampled, getting trampled.
Yeah.
This guy, he's dying for the team because he's just laying down. He's going to dead. He's playing dead. This guy is terrible. You didn't do anything all season. And eventually your team lost the Super Bowl. It could get thrown onto you, giving
Yeah.
Drake about 1 second to react before that left side is blown up.
Definitely. I also did see that Will Campbell was hurt going into this game. I
Oh
believe it
man,
had something to do with the leg injury. But even going off of that, I believe that Will Campbell skipped on answering the media's questions after the Super Bowl game. He did come out and apologize for that. I don't know if he made an excuse or had one, but even that is just very low of somebody that is supposed to be one of the best linemen coming out of the draft last year, and they can't really face the media, especially as a rookie. You can't be doing that. But I believe he did come out and apologize for that. no matter what the excuse was, that you just hate to see that out of a guy like that.
Yeah, just a bad guy. Injury or not, dude, you're terrible. I'm hating on you.
So that's going to wrap up episode 4 of the Gus and Dave podcast. Thank you guys for watching once again. Make sure you like and subscribe. We will be back next week for episode 5 next Wednesday. Make sure you guys tune into our reels on Instagram and obviously our YouTube shorts as well. And we will catch you guys next week.
All right, let's go.